What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Extreme Hunting Podcast. I want to start off today by thanking everybody for the love and support that everybody's given to me. The messages that have been sent to me via email, text messages, social media. The love and support that I've gotten is absolutely amazing, and I want you guys to know how much I appreciate that. I'm also going to start off with a 5-star review that was left on iTunes. The review was left by T Stout. He says, 5 stars, Taryn is the man. Taryn lived in the same town as me, and he is one of the most genuine people you'll get to know. I'm excited for his podcast as I know he's a hardcore hunter. He lives for this. I never had the opportunity to get out and hunt with Taryn, but just talking to him around town, you can tell hunting is his passion. You won't find anyone more dedicated to learning or more studious than Taryn. Thanks, T Stout. Appreciate that message and appreciate the 5-star review. And that's exactly it. With this podcast, I'm a very studious person. I love to learn. I love to grow, especially when it comes to hunting. Like T Stout says, hunting is my passion. I absolutely love it. So I have some great guests coming up in the future shows. I have some great people lined up over the next couple of weeks to do podcasts with, both over the phone and some live podcasts that I have planned. So look forward to those. I think you'll enjoy them. I've got some very smart, very studious people who will also be joining me, and I'm excited to learn from them, and I hope you guys are as well. On today's podcast, I have a very good friend of mine that's going to join me. His name is Trevor Hunt, and even though we share the same last name, we are not brothers. In fact, we're not related. I'm sure we're related somewhere back in the line somewhere, but Trevor is the owner and operator of Pine Creek Outfitters. He's a great guy. He does a great job with his outfitting company. He's had a lot of success, and I know that what he shares with us on this show, you'll be able to learn and grow and really enjoy it. So listen in. Again, please go to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave me a 5-star review if I've earned it. If I haven't, let me know what I can improve upon, and I will definitely do my best to work on those things. But I'm loving this, and again, I appreciate the love and support that everybody is sending my way. So without further ado, here's Trevor Hunt. All right, well, let's get this party started. So, well, as most people know, or maybe people don't know Trevor, but so Trevor is the owner of Pine Creek Outfitters, and so welcome to the show, Trevor.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So let's start out with a little introduction. So for those people that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do, family, friends, all those kind of cool things.
Well, my name's Trevor Hunt, and I live in southwestern Utah. I have done my whole life, lived in the same small town. I do various things for work in the off season, from guiding. I have 4 kids, and so that keeps us crazy. We got baseball tournaments going on this week, and just all the fun stuff. So,
how long have you been guiding?
I've been guiding about 14 years, 12 to 14 years. Started in 2007, roughly. I started a little bit before that, just kind of helping and spotting, probably in about 2005. And then I started guiding my own hunters in 2007. I started guiding for my father-in-law, Clay Bundy, and we guided out on the Arizona Strip. And I learned how to guide from him, basically, and did that till about 2012, and then I started Pine Creek Outfitters and branched out into Nevada and Utah, and since then have gotten so busy with that I don't make it back to the Strip very often.
I think most people know Clay Bundy's name and what he does. I mean, how convenient is that's your father-in-law, dude? That's that's a pretty sweet deal. Most people see those freaking Arizona Strip bucks, and I mean that's like everybody's dream is to get down there and hunt one of those bucks. I mean, you've seen some monsters down there, haven't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Gosh, what were some of the bucks? We've talked about it in the past, but some of the bucks that you saw down there and were part of.
Well, I got to help on a couple of the biggest and best bucks. I got to help on Houdini, That was the 322-inch velvet buck taken with an auction tag, and I was able to take a live picture of that buck earlier in the day before we got him in, and that was pretty amazing to have a 300-inch deer in your sights.
No one
And
sees a
I
300-inch
was
deer.
just, yeah, I was just helping back then. I mean, I was just a spotter, kind of helping with a whole group of good guys, and was lucky enough to spot that deer. And then I also got to help on Lucky. That's a famous Arizona Strip deer. I'm sure if anybody knows big deer and the Strip, they know Lucky and they know Houdini for sure. And that, the same thing, I got to just help with a bunch of group of guys and be a spotter and just an extra guide basically, and was able to take a little bit of shaky video of Lucky, because I didn't have a phone scope back in those days, and trying to hold your phone or your
Oh
camera up to
yeah.
your binoculars free-handed when there's a 270-inch deer in front of you.
You're shaking
Your heart's
anyways.
racing, and it's a little shaky, but it was fun. Those are the two biggest deer that I've been able to be a part of and be able to see. Various other big Arizona Strip deer and big Nevada deer that I've been able to kind of be a part of, and some Utah deer. I mean, last year we ended up doing real well in Utah on the general stuff, this general season stuff right around home. So
I think people underestimate that general stuff, especially there in Utah. I mean, you lucky buggers, being in Colorado, I don't, there's not really general tags. We have to get a tag for a specific unit, and most of them are draw. There are some that you can get with 0 to 1 point. But man, I think people underestimate those general units. I guess I don't know about Nevada, but for Utah, some of the general units can be some of the best units. Nowhere near what Arizona Strip produces, but so that's pretty much what got you kind of into the whole guiding scene. Was you're getting with your father-in-law? Were you interested in guiding before that?
I never really knew about guiding before that. I grew up hunting from the time I was a small kid. You know, as with probably you and everybody else, when we were kids, the deer hunt was a big deal. You'd go have a camp with the whole town basically, and they'd let school out, and I just grew up that way, and then hunting with my dad and stuff. So I grew up hunting everything I could, and then didn't. I guess I knew of guides or knew of guiding, but I didn't really even think about the opportunity until I started hanging around my father-in-law and seeing what he was doing, and he was kind of getting started pretty heavily back then, and I thought, wow, really, people can get paid to go hunting. I mean, now I know it's a lot more than just that, but it that's what got me into it, and like I say, I did it with him, strictly with him for several years, and only guided the Arizona Strip, and I just seen other opportunities that were within the same distance, if not closer, than the Arizona Strip is to me. From where I live, the Arizona Strip, eastern Nevada, southwestern Utah, all of these very sought after units are within 2 hours of my house.
Yeah.
Any direction I go, 2 hours to the east of the Ponsagon, 2 hours to the south, the Strip, 2 hours to the west can be in any of the very well sought after Nevada units. So I'm pretty centrally located, and that's when I thought, you know what, I want to do this.
So and now you've moved on to your outfitting company and all that. And we talk about more about that. But is your focus now as a guide? Is it mainly mule deer, or is it? I mean, I guess kind of where you live, you have mule deer and elk, kind of, and sheep. Really, like that's the best place to live for all those animals, really.
Yeah, we primarily focus on mule deer. That's my passion. That's my favorite. I love elk though as well, and sheep. I've done a couple of sheep hunts. Those are awesome. I love hunting bighorn sheep. The opportunities aren't as plentiful with that. There's just not as many tags, But so we do a lot of deer, and then we do a lot of elk hunts, and once in a while we get lucky enough to go help on a sheep hunt, and we've done antelope and stuff like that. But those
Nice.
elk and deer's what I'd say we specialize in.
Well, the great thing about being a non-resident in Utah versus being a resident in Utah is I can put in for every single one of those animals, whereas you guys can only put in for one limited entry tag, which I'll never understand that. That's got to be the goofiest thing in the world. But hey, I'm not DWR. If you're listening, I'm not complaining. I'm building points and everything right now. So
Yeah,
but
yeah,
hopefully,
you're lucky that way.
hopefully someday I'll be able to draw that tag and and well, any of those tags. Sheep tag would be amazing. I think that'd be an awesome thing. I've never hunted sheep in my life, and I'm still pretty young in my hunting career, I guess. So hopefully in the near future I'll be able to do that as I build my points. But I want to go back real quick is talking about guiding and what does it take to become a guide? I guess let's focus more for Utah and Nevada. What does it take to become a guide in those states?
Well, first of all, you got to have the passion for hunting and the passion for helping people. And then there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that it does take to become a guide. You have to be licensed with whatever state you're in. That requires a test, anywhere from 20, 50 to 150 questions to get a professional license. You've got to have first aid certifications, CPR certifications. For a guide, that's about it. The outfitter has more extensive stuff he's got to do than that. But to become a guide, and you have to work under an outfitter. You're going to have an outfitter sign off on your application saying you're going to work for him, and you can't just go become a guide and go start guiding people. You have to be under an outfitter in most of the states that I hunt in.
It seems like back in the day that guiding was like that one thing that you could do if you wanted to be in the hunting industry. Like if you wanted to make a living, quote unquote, in the hunting industry, you pretty much had to become a guide. And I remember when we were kids, it seemed like there was more guys going into becoming a guide, and I guess maybe because I'm not in that field, I don't see it as much. But do you see a lot of like small town guys becoming guides, and since it's not that hard to do?
Yeah, I've seen a few do it. I've seen a few try to do it, and for whatever reason, not be able to do it or make it work. Maybe their family life, maybe their job, their day job didn't cooperate. Anything like that. It's a hard family life. You leave, you're gone for months at a time, essentially. I mean, I run my business a little bit different as I come home every Sunday and regroup and everything. So some of those outfitters out there, I mean, they're gone for months, So, but generally, you're not seeing much of your family in the guiding time. But when you live in a small town like I do, and I don't have any plans to do anything different, you have to make sacrifices to be able to live here. Mm-hmm. And that's one of them, is being away from home a little bit to support the family.
Do you do that? Is that more for like guides? Are they the ones that are out there that long, or is it because now that you're an outfitter, you're having to be gone that much? I guess what I'm asking is, since you become an outfitter, and I would imagine the answer is yes, does the workload increase once you get that outfitting license, or do your guides do a lot of that stuff with you?
Yeah, the workload increases, but not necessarily having to be away from home to do the workload. When I mean you're got to be gone, I mean these Nevada hunts, for instance, they start 1st of August, and depending on the unit, you could hunt clear till almost December. Oh, so yeah. You can have hunts back to back to back. Their hunt dates are awesome. I mean, you have 3 to 4 weeks each season. So as an outfitter, I can have 2 or 3 or 4 clients for one hunt, and so that's where it can be keeping you away from home is you'll have a hunt this week and your new guy's coming in the very next week and the next week and the next week.
I think people think of it as like hunting or guiding it's kind of a glamorous thing, I think guys think, oh man, I just show up, I go guide, I take somebody out in the mountains, I point at a deer, there it is, go shoot it. And I don't think people understand the the behind the scenes of stuff that happens for an outfitting company and for a guide. Be completely honest, I probably don't even understand all the stuff that goes on. I've spent a lot of time with you and other people that are guides, and I know that they spend a lot of time, scouting and doing all those kind of things. But is there a lot of behind the scenes stuff being an outfitter that you have to do?
Yeah, there's a fair amount of paperwork that's involved, believe it or not. There's some reporting that we have to do after every hunt, after the season. You go through and do all your post use reports for the BLM, and you're updating your permits, and you're updating your insurance, and recertifying with your CPR and stuff like that. So there's I think there's a lot more paperwork involved than people even realize with permits and insurances and stuff like that. Just to be able to guide a hunter, I have to have permits on BLM, Forest Service. I have to carry insurance policy. Just all that stuff like that. Just to be able to take you hunting, if I'm going to do it the right way it should be done, then I have all that in place and we go hunting.
So you have to have permits to take me. So say I book with you. You have to have a permit to take me out. Even if you're licensed in the state, you still have to have another permit to take me out to a specific area?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes. If we're going to hunt on, let's say, BLM land, then I have a special use permit to do business on that land, and then I have to pay them a percentage of a fee for being able to do business on that public lands. So, and it's just paperwork. I mean, it's not hard. It's just applications and paperwork and stuff like that, and then reports showing and stating exactly where you hunted, how many people you took on the hunt and stuff like that, and then you turn that in at the end of the season, and then that determines the amount that you have to pay them for your fees.
Wow. I guess I didn't realize that you had to pay for a permit. So if you pay for a permit on BLM lands, I'm going to say, I guess in southern Utah, does that same permit cover you in Nevada, or do you have to get a separate one in Nevada?
You have to have a separate permit for every jurisdiction that you're going to guide in or hunt in. So I have several. I mean, I have several in Nevada and I have several in Utah, just because every jurisdiction only covers, there maybe one BLM or forest jurisdiction covers 1 to 2 hunting units. In Utah, for example, Southwest Desert's a giant unit. It covers several BLM jurisdictions. So just to be able to hunt all of that unit, we have to have several of those permits.
Wow, that's unreal.
And that's why some of these guided hunts cost so much money.
Mm-hmm.
Is people don't realize, they may be paying several $1,000s to an outfitter to take them hunting and wonder why, thinking he's raking in the money, but a lot of that money's going out too, insurance and permits, and it's not like we just show up that day that you get there and go hunting for 5 days. I mean, you got months worth of summer scouting and all of that's part of that fee as well.
Yeah, I know that people don't think about that, because a guided hunt is expensive. I mean, I don't care what hunt you go on, it's gonna be expensive. And a lot of people do think that, oh man, this guy's just making a ton of dough. He's gonna be rich. You take 5 hunters out, you make a living. But yeah, there's a lot of even like I said, I didn't realize the fees that come along with it, and I knew that outfitters had to have insurance, but I didn't realize all the fees that you had to pay. You had to pay for different permits to hunt and guide in certain jurisdictions and all that. So, wow, that's crazy. Just want to talk a little bit about Pine Creek Outfitters, and we haven't even said the name of Pine Creek Outfitters on this recording once. So for you guys listening, Trevor's company is Pine Creek Outfitters. Got a sweet social media pages. Got some amazing stuff on there. So Pine Creek Outfitters owned by you. Who all do you have helping you with Pine Creek Outfitters? Who helps guide and all that?
I have several guys that are just amazing. Um, Jake Selby has helped me since I've started. Tyson Air, Tavin Fells, Chase Christie. You
Is Chase
know,
Chase is still helping you out?
he comes when he can. Yep,
Awesome.
he doesn't guide any hunters, but he comes and helps when he can. Jed's gone with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a good handful of help, and I there's no way I could do this without them.
Well,
So
it's a lot of work. I mean, us as hunters know what it takes. Even you have a lot of scouting, a lot of, as we've talked about, paperwork and all this other stuff that goes along with it. But just any hunt alone, even if it's where you know the territory perfectly, it's still a lot of work
yeah,
and an extra body to help haul out an animal, spot, whatever the case may be, can
yeah,
be a huge help. Are most of those guys that you talked about, are they from southern Utah as well?
yeah, yeah. In a general area.
Okay, very cool. Anybody living in Nevada that helps you out there?
Um, no, but I have a very good relationship with a lot of the outfitters in Nevada,
Oh,
and we've helped each other
mm-hmm.
at times. So I try to work with everybody. I'm not against these other outfitters or anything. We're all doing the same thing and trying to do the same thing, and not all of them feel the same way, but there's a handful of them that live down here in this corner of Nevada, and we get along well. We share information sometimes. We refer clients to each other. We help each other.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. So all my guides are basically from Utah, but I work with and help and get help from other outfitters and guides in Nevada.
It's a pretty close knit group with outfitters, isn't it? I mean, it's not. I
Yeah.
know you guys are in competition with each other, but it seems like most outfitters. I know you've posted a few times about an outfitting company in Cedar City that you've worked with and whatnot. So it's a pretty close knit group, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's always the guys that are not gonna be part of it or whatever, but it's I think all of the outfitters understand that we're all doing this and we're all trying to make a living and we're all here for the right reasons, and I haven't had any problems. I haven't had any run-ins or any bad experiences with any other outfitters. When I run into them in the hills, on the hill, whatever, I treat them with respect. They treat me with respect. We do what we need to do, and we go about our business. I mean, that's just the way I want to run my business is that way. I want people to know that we're an honest business.
I like hearing you say that because I mean, there are you hear some of the negative stories out there from outfitters and what they do and all that. So it's kind of refreshing actually to hear some positives that come from that. So I want to shift gears just a little bit. Being a guide and an outfitter, I think there's a lot of guys that could use some of your knowledge base that you have, and if you don't mind sharing a little bit about it of it, and that is kind of the summer scouting. I want to talk a little bit about that, and maybe if you wouldn't mind, kind of giving some tips to some of the guys that will be listening to this podcast, as far as like what are some of the tips and tactics you use for summer scouting, and what can you help people with?
Well, there's lots of various ways. I mean, one of the things that's never going to go away is old school glassing. Go out on the mountain and sit down behind the glass and glass. I mean, you want to find the water, you want to find the feed, you want to learn where these deer are going to grow their antlers in summer, and that's where you want to go start. I mean, you want to go see what's made it through and what you can find from your inventory last year. I mean, you've scouted the year before, you've hunted the year before, you know what bucks you've hunted and what bucks you found, and you want to go back to them first. because if they were on your hit list the year before, more than likely they're going to be on your hit list this year. So you want to go find them first and foremost. But then that's not always the case. They may get taken the year before and you didn't hear about it. They may have lion killed, winter killed. They may have moved slightly or something. But so that's where I start. I mean, I just by the time spring hits and summer hits, I'm so anxious to get out there. I'm out driving roads. I'm looking on Google Earth and on X Maps all the time, and just looking for new waters. And it's been so wet this year that there's springs that I've known about for years that have never had water that are bubbling up streams right now. I mean,
Gosh.
it's just amazing. And even though there's a lot of controversy about it, trail cameras are they're there. I mean, they're a good tool to scout with, whether you like them or you don't like them. Um,
I love them. I'll
they
throw that out
can
there. I love them.
they can be your best tool to use, because you can cover so much country with trail cameras. I mean, you really can. If you're going out to glass up for deer, you can cover an area in the morning and an area in the evening. If you've got trail cameras out, you can cover 100 miles of country.
Are you one of those guys that runs like a billion trail cameras?
I don't have that many. I've only got a million.
Only a million. Man, I
No,
saw.
I'm down a lot on my trail cameras this year because thieves. You
Oh, you're
know,
still having a problem with thieves?
I can't. It's hard. You know, I mean, we lose a lot of cameras, all of us. I mean, the outfitters I just talked about that I like in Nevada and we work together, we all lose cameras every year. And I haven't replaced them the last couple of years. I've just kind of started to try to work away from them a little bit. I still use what I have,
Hmm.
but because they're a valuable tool, and you have to have them to compete. You know, if everybody didn't have them, then it would be fair. But where you have them, you have to have them to compete. And so I still run them. I love the knowledge that you learn from them. You know, that's one of my favorite things. I love to see what you see on them. But you know, a big buck could be there, a big bull could be there, just weird things, cool things. But I love the knowledge. I
Hmm.
love learning. I mean, a couple of years ago, I had an amazing buck on camera in the summer, and then I lost him. Didn't know where he was. Never could find him again. Well, I picked up cameras late in the year, and guess what? I found him 30 miles away. And so
Wow.
stuff like that is amazing to me, to learn what they do, how far they can travel, you know, their patterns, their how often they come to drink. I mean, it's just you learn so much about a deer's habit from trail cameras, not just that there's a big deer there, you know, or you learn their habits if you've got trail cameras in various places, you know, and where they how they live, and it helps you to be a better hunter because you understand deer behavior a little bit better, or elk. I mean, you know, deer or elk behavior a little better.
Right. Well, that's interesting because there is some controversy around it. I know there's a lot of guys that really don't like them, don't want them. They're lobbying to get them banned in certain states and all that. It's funny. I've always used trail cameras for that purpose to kind of pattern deer and know, especially when I'm archery hunting. I use it a lot when I'm archery hunting, where they migrate and stuff before the muzzleloader and rifle. I don't use them so much if I've got those kind of tags, but if it's an archery tag, I use them a lot to pattern for them. But it seems like lately the best thing about them is it's for my kids. My kids absolutely love going out and checking trail cam pictures. It's like Christmas. It's like, what do we got this time? I'm sure your kids are the same way. But do you talked about glassing, and you and I've actually spent some time glassing and looking at things. Um, are you still kind of that way? You spend hours behind glass usually every summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, you have to. I mean, to a point. I mean, because you you can get deer or elk on trail camera, but that doesn't mean you know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know where they're watering,
Yeah.
but I've had deer that I've hunted in the past around certain waters that we just can't ever find. And then one year I glassed up the deer bedding down, and he was 3 miles away from the water.
Gosh.
So you still have to glass. I mean, you a trail camera's not going to tell you what way the deer's coming. He's not going
Mm-hmm.
to tell you where he's going, how far he's going to bed, stuff like that. So I mean, trail cameras are great, but you've got to physically know how to glass and how to find them after the fact.
Do you ever see bucks using different water holes? Like you'll, and I guess I've seen this here in Colorado. Is I had a buck coming into a little, I guess you call it a spring, just a little puddle that I'd found. He wouldn't come back for 6, 10, 12 days. There's no way that he's not coming, getting a drink in that time. 12 days is a long time for a deer not to come get a drink. So I ended up putting another trail camera at a spot. It was probably about a half mile to a mile away, and I found that the buck was actually coming into both spots. Do you see that a lot out in the desert, like where you hunt, or do they pretty much go to one?
No, I see that a lot, and my opinion is they work a circle. They
Mm.
they work an area. Um, I see that all the time. I mean, I see deer drink here, and then they're drinking at the next water, which is 2 miles away, and maybe the next one is 2 miles away. They're kind of roaming. You really see that with bucks and does towards the rut, but I even see it in the summer, and I've also seen bucks use a particular water and walk past other waters to get to the particular water. And I've had trail cameras there, and they've never drank there. They've gone past that and gone to a certain water. Now I don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's cool to me. I mean, that's what I love learning
Hmm.
about deer. And that particular buck I was telling you about, he walked by two waters to go 3 miles to drink at that water. I They may feel safe there at that water, so that's why they're going there. They may have some of the waters he walked by were in the thick trees, and a deer wants to. My opinion is a deer wants to drink where it's open and he can
He can
feel
see
safe.
predators. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to drink in a confined spot. That's just kind of what I've learned. They will drink in those spots if they need to, but when there's nothing pressing them or something, they'll go drink where they feel safe, wherever it is.
You didn't pour a little Mountain Dew in that third watering hole, and that's why he came to that hole, right?
Maybe.
See, you guys in Utah, you get to use this baiting. I don't get to use baiting out here at all for anything. So, man, you guys are lucky out there. Well, I think those are great tips. I think that a lot of people, I mean, and people may know that. I think a lot of people look at trail cameras and it's kind of the sexy thing to do, nowadays, have those trail cameras because you can post the pictures on social media, which makes you an immediate all-star. But,
Yeah.
um, trail cameras are great. Glassing's great. I think you kind of touched on this, but driving, I see a lot of you guys, outfitters, guides, you guys put a lot of miles on vehicles and go through vehicles
Hard
very
miles.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many trucks you
Yep.
gone
Hard
in?
miles.
How many trucks have you gone through since I left there?
Oh, several.
Well,
Several.
you had a
You go
Jeep when
through.
I left.
Yeah, you go through a set of tires a year at least, and trucks. You go through trucks literally. You know.
It's crazy. I mean, that's the price to pay because those roads that you're traveling on are not paved roads. You're going through some nasty stuff. I'm sure you go through, I mean, I'm sure your side by sides get beat apart, four wheelers get beat apart. I mean, it's just, I guess, the price you pay for what you have to do and where you have to get
Yeah.
to.
Yep. That's it too. I mean, when you're on the Arizona Strip, you could be 100 miles away from a paved road,
Yeah.
and Nevada, you can get. It's just all rough. It's hard. It's a lot of wear and tear on all your equipment.
When those desert roads get so washerboard, here in Colorado we don't see it. I mean, I can go out on the dirt roads here and they're not too bad. Although they'll get kind of muddy and they'll get the potholes from the mud. But man, it seems like in the desert, southern Utah, southern Nevada, all those dirt roads get so washerboarded that I mean, you're going through shocks all the time, like you said, going through tires all the time. That it kind of gets ridiculous. I do want to
Yeah, it's
pick.
just part of it.
It is. I do want to pick your brain real quick before I let you go on gear. I'm kind of a gear junkie. I love gear. I love glass. I love all those things. What's your go-to as a guide for some of your glass and gear?
Well, everybody's got their own opinion, but you cannot beat Swarovski glass,
How would I know you'd
in
say
my
that?
opinion. That's all I have. Um, but I mean, there's a lot of good quality glass out there that's not Swarovski glass. I mean, if somebody's wanting to go, I would just tell them to get the most expensive one they can afford,
Oh,
because
that's good.
price does matter when it comes to optics. I mean, the more you pay, the better your glass is going to be. And I personally, where I do it for a business, I use the very best I can. I can't even afford it, but I use the very best there is. I mean, I have three different pairs of Swarovski, and that's all I use. Um,
Wow.
as far as other gear goes, it's all just a personal preference to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I use Under Armour gear as far as my clothing. I love that stuff. It's been great. Um,
You use the Ridge Reaper stuff, or is
I
it
use
some?
the Ridge Reaper stuff. And it's great. I've used the rain gear. I've used the insulated, and it's before I started using the Under Armour gear. I really didn't use any special gear. I mean, I just went in blue jeans and a shirt, just like the way I'm dressed now.
Right.
But since I started using the Under Armour gear, it's really comfortable. It really is, and it's I've had the same pair of pants for about 3 seasons now, and it's held up.
Wow.
Uh, boots boots are just a kind of a personal preference,
Mm-hmm.
and they're expensive. So I mean, it's just what you can afford, really.
Yeah.
And packs are the same way. I mean, I've gone through a lot of packs in the last several years, just trying to find one that fits me good and that's comfortable for me, because I pack a lot of gear in it, and even if it's a name brand pack, it might not fit me and be comfortable.
Right.
So I actually use a Kuiu pack,
Oh,
because
really?
that's what I've found that fits me the best and is the most comfortable. And I've literally tried them all the last few years.
As a guide, what? Not to get off track, but as an outfitter, what kind of gear do you pack? I'm thinking tripod, spotting scope. What else do people not think of that you pack as an outfitter?
Um, it depends on the area you're hunting. Some of the areas that you hunt, you don't get very far away from the vehicle. And I mean, like, you'll get a mile or two, but it's not like you're backpacking into a lot of the areas we hunt. There's not back country.
Right.
And so I pack my spotting scope, and I always glass off of a tripod, no matter what kind of glassing I'm doing. If I'm just glassing with my 15s, it's off a tripod. If I'm glassing with my BTX, it's off a tripod. I mean, if I'm glassing with my 10 powers, it's off a tripod, literally. So I don't leave the truck without a tripod. Um,
Wait a second. Wait a second. Hold the phone here. I know what you. Oh my gosh. You have a BTX?
well,
You are my new best friend. I mean,
I'll let you use it if you'll come and help me.
I didn't know you had a BTX. You love that thing?
Yeah, I do love it. I mean, I had a pair of Doctor binoculars before I got the BTX, and I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were probably better in some aspects than the BTX, but the BTX is better in some than the Doctors. And the BTX fits my eyes. I kind of have close together eyes,
Gotcha.
and the BTX fit my eyes better, and I was more comfortable glassing with it, and it's lighter.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing because there was the
So,
Koas, the Doctors that were so friggin' heavy, and that's when the BTX came out. That's when everybody's like, "Oh, it's so light." And
yeah,
if you're packing that, even a
I
mile, that's a long ways to pack a heavy
yeah,
set of binoculars.
and a lot of people don't pack their big glass with them, like when they're going on a stalk or when they're going somewhere, but I do. I carry it with me, because if something happens, and I mean, as an outfitter, you have to pick the deer or elk apart to make sure it's the one you're wanting. I mean, the clients have expectations. There's a lot of variables that come into play. You don't want to make a mistake with a once in a lifetime tag. I pack them everywhere. I sold my doctors a couple. Uh, Last year was the first year. I'm going on my second season with the BTX, and I really like it. I really
Man,
like it.
I got to look through a BTX one time. That shows you how much I've looked through them. But man, when I looked through them, that was I think the thing that I liked about them. So I'm the same as you. I will not glass anymore without a tripod. I mean, it's just I feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm glassing without a tripod anymore because it's so shaky. The chances of seeing anything far away, even if I'm looking through my tens, I've got a tripod. So, but when I looked through those things, it felt easy. I could look through them all day long. Whereas a normal spotting scope, you can only look so long, and your eyes are killing you. But man, that BTX, and I'm kind of the same with you with my eyes. My eyes are kind of more narrow. I'll look through Jed's, and his are clear out here, and then I'll bring him in. But so yeah, it was super comfortable to look through those, and man, I love them. Someday I
Well,
will get a pair. Or
some people claim that the field of view is not as good as the doctors or the coas, and it really is all personal preference. They all serve a purpose, and it's just what you like. Really,
mhm.
they're all good glass. They're all expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are
Yeah.
very, very expensive. Do you ever pack your getting back to the gear thing? Do you ever pack any of your hunters' gear, or do you pretty much make them pack all their stuff?
Uh, I've never really had to,
They'll do their own
pack
thing,
any of
and
my hunter's gear. Um, I've had some older guys that have had some bad knees and a few different things, and I've helped them with their guns, you know, and a few things like that. But I've been pretty lucky. Most of them have been able to pack their own stuff, and if we're hunting and we're going on a stalk, especially,
hmm
the hunter don't need to carry all of his gear.
no,
I
he
mean,
needs a
he needs
gun.
to carry he needs to carry what he needs to carry. We're there to do the glassing and to handle that part of it. He
Gotcha.
he doesn't need to carry his binoculars and his everything to get down there and do that. That's what he's paying us for. I
hmm
mean, if he wants to, he can. But so if we're going on a stalk, we want to go as light as we can, as easy as we can. We carry rangefinders, we carry binoculars. I mean, that's what we're there for. We're there to do our job. The hunter's there to do his job,
hmm
and as a hunter, you've got to be proficient in your job too, because we make our living and our clientele off of word of mouth a lot, and off of what we've done the past year. If you as a hunter can't do your job, then all the work that we've put in, there's nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So that's what I like to tell the hunters that call me. What should I do? Practice shooting in all positions and at all distances. Be proficient with your weapon, because that's this whole deal. No matter if it could be a 400-inch bull, a 200-inch bull, or a buck or whatever.
hmm
If we can't shoot and harvest that animal, then we have nothing. You don't have anything to show, and I don't have anything to show. And I'm not saying that we have to. I mean, we go on a lot of hunts that we don't even put an animal in our sights.
Right.
And just if you go on a hunt, that doesn't mean you have to go kill something. I mean, the hunt's about the hunt, and we talk about it up front. I have guys say, "This is what I want. I'm fine going home empty," or we just never find anything that fits the criteria, whether it be mine or theirs. Or so, just because you go on a hunt and don't kill something doesn't mean you were unsuccessful either.
Right.
But if you're gonna pull the trigger, I mean, it's just the more practice you can do, and the better you can do at that, the better it is for everybody.
And that's hunting. I mean, it honestly is. There's a time in my life when it was all about getting that animal on the ground, and that's what made a successful hunt. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old, but having kids and all that. It's more to me. Well, like I said in the beginning, talking about my elk hunt. If you guys put me on a 320 bull and that's what we pull out of there, you know what? That's going to be the best 320 bull that I've ever shot, and it's going to be just the best story, and it's about the experience. But I also agree with you in that, and I don't know, if you're going to pay that much money, because it's not cheap, people that are listening, it is not cheap to go on some of these the guided hunts. If you're going to pay that much money, come prepared. The guide's going to, Trevor, you're going to do your job, and we know that. It's evident, and you're right. If you're going to pay that much money, they need to do their job as well and come prepared, and it'll make their experience better if they are able to lay down, pull the trigger, pound that thing, and the celebration starts. That will be a great experience for them.
I've had years, in fact, 2 years ago, it was rough. We everybody calls and it's like, well, what'd you kill last year? What'd you do last year? I want to see, and it's like, well, we missed some big ones. It doesn't go as well. It's like, oh, I could tell you what we missed, but so it just, I mean, a hunter should owe it to the outfitter to try his best also.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I make fun of, and I shouldn't because I'm on Instagram and social media all the time. I mean, being a podcast, that's how you get your marketing out there. But that does go a long way, I think, for you guys as outfitters. If you're able to post some great animals that you're able to harvest with these hunters, people are going to see that and they're going to be like, wow, look at what Pine Creek Outfitters killed. I'm calling them for my next hunt. If I draw this tag, I'm calling them. Personally, if I draw my tag, guess who I'm calling? So, I think that as bad as social media can be, I think it also is that's a good point in that you guys being able to harvest that, the hunter being able to perform, you can use those pictures to be able to continue to build your business. So
I can go show you all the trail camera pictures of giant deer that you want to see, but that doesn't mean we're successful.
Right.
Anybody can go put a trail camera up and get a picture of a big deer.
Yeah, even I can do that. So
so it's just the outfitter needs to do the very best he can do, and the hunter needs to do the very best he can do, and together is where you both will succeed and keep going.
Sounds like business. Honestly, that's exactly how it is. That's business, and that's just how it works, and that's hunting. So
yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Well, anything else you want to talk about before we get this thing wrapped up?
No, just when you're ready to come help, I'm ready.
Soon, brother. It's gonna be soon. It has to be soon. Honestly, we talked before we hopped on and started recording, but hunting here in Colorado, it's great. I love hunting in Colorado. It's a beautiful thing, and actually, I have people and family that come from Utah to hunt with me here, but. I went on a bear hunt last year all by myself. I hunted for several days all by myself, doing my own glassing, doing my own thing, and it was fun. I ended up pulling the trigger on that hunt, and it was great. But it wasn't the same. It's hunting is a whole lot more than harvesting that animal. It's experiences. It's being with the people that you enjoy being with, and so someday soon, man, it's gonna happen.
I find myself not even going when I have a tag and nobody to go with, because I'm so used to being with a client or several clients or my spotters or my guides, and it's like if I have a tag and I go out by myself, I feel lonely.
Yeah.
So there's times I've had a tag and it's just been like, oh wow, this is weird. Nobody's here to go with me. You just end up not going, So guiding has ruined me a little bit in that aspect. I mean, it's a different game.
There's those guys that love to go alone, and my hat's off to them. If in fact I follow that solo hunter, I think is what his name is, and I get that. If that's your bag, you do that thing. But I shot an elk one time all by myself, and I walked up to that thing. I'm by myself with an elk. I'm not far off the road, maybe a mile, 2 miles. But by yourself looking at an elk, you're thinking, well, now what am I going to do?
I even think that when there's 5 of us.
Oh, man. There's just something about it. And And I guess that's why it's our passion. It's just we enjoy every aspect of the entire thing. We enjoy the hard times. We enjoy the good times. We enjoy the when we're by ourselves, when we're with everybody. It's about the experience for us. Well, before we end, where can everybody find you at?
Instagram's the best place to find me, Pine Creek Outfitters. I have a Facebook page as well, Pine Creek Outfitters. So both of those places are the very best to find me.
Okay.
I post more on Instagram because it's easier.
Yeah.
And I get more response. And people can message me on Instagram. My information's on there, as well as my Facebook. That's probably the best way for people to get a hold of me is get on there and either message me or my phone number's on there.
Okay, so if someone's looking for an outfitter for those areas that you mentioned, it'd probably be best just to send you a DM on Instagram,
Yeah.
or would you prefer them to call you?
Either way.
Okay.
This time of year, with being in and out of self-service so much, a DM or a text actually comes through the best.
Okay.
And a voicemail they could call. If they don't get me, I'm out scouting, leave a message. I try to get cell service once a day at least and get messages and stuff. So, that's going to be the best way for people to get a hold of me.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you. This has been awesome. Enjoyed chatting with you. It's good to catch up finally.
Yep.
So appreciate you coming on and keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks. You too. Keep working with your podcast and making it good.
Cool. Appreciate you.